Alrighty, good morning internets. It's been a long time since I've done any of my random speeches, lectures, self-inflicted debates, so on and so forth on the subject of Asperger syndrome or autism spectrum disorder. Sorry I'm so quiet. I've got roommates here, and frankly, I'm still quite shy in front of the camera. Quiet iPad, and yeah, so I actually just realized this morning I started getting comments on my last talk here, or notifications of the comments, but I never actually realized that I had my private YouTube set to approve, or to have me approve comments manually. So I've had this backlog of comments sitting here, which is so cool because this is probably my third video ever that I've gotten any decent feedback with. But so firstly, thanks for the comments. That's awesome. Um, so yeah, I wanted to look over some of the comments here and build a video off of it, because when you live a sort of condition like Asperger syndrome, sometimes it just fits, okay, usually it fits into the conversation, you just start rambling about your experience on the subject, but other times it's hard to just sit there and have someone be like, so what is Asperger's? And you'd be like, high functioning autism, and just leave it at that, right? So fortunately, I had someone this morning leave or brought up a good topic that hasn't been a matter of my concern for a while now, but don't really know how to pronounce the name here, but it's SBS Aspergian man. Yeah, I just butchered that. I think I pronounced it better earlier, but in any case, you know who you are. Everyone else can find you here, and and yeah, so they were mentioning about the stresses of socializing. Well, yeah, there's a lot of stress that comes with socializing, and some days I don't want to see another human being, and I just want to close my doors and windows, listen to music, and call it a day. Um, for me, it's been quite a bit different over the past few years. For most of my life, yeah. If I had company for too long, I'd get downright short and frankly put asshole-ish. But over the past couple of years, I've really started to look at the downsides of my behavioral condition, and I just disapproved of them. So I literally validated myself and at the same time disapproved of it. And through that, I've been over, I guess, 2016 now, so over the past 6 years or so, I've really been stringent on on my own behavioral, or my approach to social behavior. Um, I only learned about Asperger's in 2012, so it's only been the past 4 years that I've had more of a working model for it. But yeah, on the matter of social interactions in our culture, we have a tendency, well, in most cultures, we have a tendency of looking at people who are more reclusive as unhealthy or unwell or perhaps depressed or these sorts of things. Um, Obviously, that's just a blanket term, and the only thing blanket terms really do is generalize, make conversation easy, and cause conflict on the internet. So, on the matter of people with Asperger's being, well, let me rephrase that. Many people with Asperger's syndrome or on the autism spectrum, if they have much in the way of social interaction, face-to-face social interaction, it can be very, very stressful and it can wear them down. It's often described as having your batteries run low. Like you've only got so much juice for social interactions, and if that gets run out, then well, then you've got breakdowns, you've got freakouts, you've got just in general, they need to be alone, they need to be in their happy place. For me, it used to be coffee shops. I used to sit and watch people, and really didn't like it when people would approach me at coffee shops. Now I'm very different. Now I'm a social butterfly, so to speak. Um, but yeah, so most people on the spectrum, they don't tend to relish social interaction or perhaps only in bite-sized pieces. And again, I was like this for most of my life. Now, however, um, I've managed to sort of relish social interactions. Hate to use the same word twice, but I've come to enjoy social interactions and social outings, and I do like going out for a beer with friends, even if the environment itself stresses me out ridiculously. Pubs and bars can be noisy, bloody places after hours, um, and there's just a lot of stupid going on. But um, but yeah, now I love having company over. I love being able to serve tea to my friends or these sorts of things, and yeah, go on very Asperger typical long-winded lectures or conversations, one-sided conversations. Um, Luckily, it seems that people find what I have to say really interesting because I took my particular niche and I expanded it to everything I could find in life. So usually, whatever I talk about is pretty relevant to what the individual I'm speaking to is going through, or what they understand, or what they're interested in. So that's fortunate. Um, Now, I do know lately a lot of the people with Asperger's that I've been talking to, and this gentleman had brought up, presumably gentleman, says man in his title, brought up here, was that there's a sort of leap at a certain point where you just um, you sort of give up on the social interaction. You go, you know what, that's not for me, and you move on with your life, and you know, you might have a lonely life, but few people with Asperger's don't fully grasp the nature of loneliness and appreciating it. And I can appreciate loneliness, but um, yeah, that's only one option. And luckily, with the universe, we have infinite options. So it does kind of sadden me that many people with Asperger's are just um, sort of disappearing. They're just kind of locking themselves up, and they're focused on their thing, which is excellent and great. And like my previous video, I encourage that strongly. But I think it's unfortunate that that seems like, you know, the only answer. And yeah, the social world is going to be very heavy for someone with anything from a learning disability to social anxiety, to all these sorts of things. Um, but I can certainly say that, again, that's only one option. The very fact that I'm making this video and previous videos, and I've got something like 5 YouTube channels now, 5 YouTube channels that I update regularly-ish, and a number of ones that I made for projects that just didn't get off the ground. We don't talk about those. um, you know, I'm a living example where social anxiety, it's not that it is overcome, but you learn a lot of tools and you get very good at using those tools. And before you know it, people won't believe that you have social anxiety. People don't believe that I have social anxiety. Um, and sometimes when I'm worn down and just tired or going through things, and people say things like that, oh yeah, it triggers me. It's like, really? I don't have social anxiety? You know what's going on in my head? And then I can take it personally and make it a point of drama. But um, ultimately, those sorts of things always come with patience, just like everything in life. So, people with social anxiety, I highly recommend that either, well, they can make that choice and they can change their mind anytime in their life. That's the cool thing about life. You're not stuck with your decisions, but you can make a choice as to whether or not to stop trying at the social game, which, frankly put, you close that part of your brain, or alternatively, you can keep trying and you'll keep learning and you'll keep progressing. And that was the direction that I took, because some of the people in my life that inspire me um, are people that I want to be more like. And those people travel the world. Those people give lectures in front of hundreds or thousands of people. Those people just, they inspire and enlighten the people that come into contact with them. I want to be more like that, and I can't do that locked up in my room. I mean, powers of YouTube might be able to assist with that, or similar such streaming platforms, but I didn't like the fact that a weakness of mine was speaking to others in person. I'm still not comfortable making a lot of eye contact. Um, so, it's something that I've pushed myself to overcome, to progress, to do better at. And the very fact that I'm making this video is proof that progress can be had and done. And yeah, I don't know what more to say about that besides for most people on the autism spectrum, it can be very draining and very exhausting to deal with social interactions. But it's not to say that the only option is to give up on the social game and lock yourself away and just have no part of it. That's not quite, from my experience and my observations with other people, I feel that that's not the holistic approach that I look for in life. So so I rejected that in myself, and I pushed myself very hard. And I'll tell you right now, it wasn't comfortable. It still isn't comfortable, but there's progress, and I've made so many more friends for this. I've managed to break out of the notion, as one person mentioned, of codependence on a single individual. I mean, right now I've got a girlfriend, and we're pretty connected, but that being said, I still have a lot of other friends. They all have different sort of roles in my life. It's not like I have general friend number one who we talk about general things. No, I've got friends in the martial arts community, friends in the shibari community, friends in the flow arts community now. I've made tons of friends just by pushing myself, and it made me a more broad person. Now, this isn't for everyone. This is It's certainly not for everyone. Even neurotypical people, there's many more introverted types. But this is what's worked for me, and I want to make the point that that is an option for most, if not everyone, who has a brain that's capable of neuroplasticity. So that's the thing. Let's see what else here. Okay. Blu-ray Boy, 5 months ago when I launched my first video here, I didn't actually honestly see this comment. How I missed it, I don't know. I'm constantly plugged into the internet and somehow I still missed it. um, he was commenting on the video here. It says, "It seems like you may fall on the rare male type of the spectrum, where we expressed autism in a more balanced or masculine feminine way as compared with most typical autistic males who are heavy on the masculine side." Um, I guess this is going to be a little bit loaded for me to say this, considering I haven't shaved in 3 days and I look pretty masculine. But I'm definitely someone who floats very freely on the sort of gender bias spectrum. Someone's screaming their head off outside here. But yeah, I'm someone who floats very freely in the gender spectrum, if you will. um, Most people that know me don't think of me as particularly masculine, certainly not a shining example of masculinity. Please ignore the beard. It's laziness for the past couple days. It's been a rough actual week. I got diagnosed with another issue recently, so bleh. Um, it's made me kind of drag my arse for everything I work with. Neighbors yelling at each other again. But yeah, so on the gender spectrum, for myself at least, like when it fits into the whole sort of thing, I identify personally as a pansexual, and in many cases, bordering on the queer range of things. So, and that's in the general reference, not in the sexual reference. And and yeah, I happen to have a very strong connection to a more feminine side in myself. Um, Anyone that's seen any of my sort of flow videos there where I'm spinning my staff and such, I think I've got one on this channel, then more likely to see a little bit more of a, well, fluid part of myself. But that also comes with that sort of practice, so without that, you've got a very rigid and stiff style, and you lose the sense of flow because there's so much tension. But yeah, simply put, I end up being far more sensitive than the stereotypical a masculine archetype. I end up becoming more fluid in genders, in direction, in sexuality, these sorts of things, and yeah, so to be quoted as a rare male type on the spectrum, I find that that ends up being an interesting matter of perception. Like a number of the autistic men that I know are either fairly masculine or the notion of gender is just completely off the table and they don't spend much time thinking about it at all. Um, so that's actually the first time I've been associated as the rare male type. When I got introduced to the BDSM scene, everyone thought I was a more submissive type because I'm generally softly spoken and pretty passive when it comes to debate or any sort of intense interaction, or at least neutral. Um, but yeah, that gave me some food to thought there, nonetheless. So, thank you, Blu-ray Boy. I think that's pretty much all the really um, notable comments here. Mention of interdisciplinary minds, that's kind of me. I launched everything off of principles of the classical martial arts that I study and research. It's not too hard to find my website on that, so you can see just how deep and how holistic that goes. Um, but yeah, certainly most people on the autism spectrum have monodisciplinary minds, and they're sort of focused on one subject. You know, I've got one friend that associates very highly with Star Trek, and he knows his stuff. I've got another friend that it's Star Wars, another friend that it's Lego, and that's kind of a cool. Actually, talking to him is actually pretty cool. But they always tend to be stuck in those fields, and especially when you're hooked on a science fiction field. It's not particularly easy, or a niche subject for like science fiction or Lego, these things. It's not particularly easy to make that leap into taking your focus and spreading it. In fact, I think I'll probably make a video about that. But so yeah, some of us certainly have interdisciplinary minds. Mine isn't so much, but it just so happens that my niche obsession is very transferable as a skill set into other fields. Uh, yeah, make more videos, increase the volume of the sound. I'm going to try and tinker with the volume on this particular video here, but I have to stay pretty quiet for this particular recording because of my roommates, and frankly, it's a little bit nerve-wracking and shy um, to have people overhear me recording videos. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Let's see. And apparently, what I said makes a lot of sense, so that's cool. Let's see. Yeah, and to reiterate, Mithra73 here brought up a point that I'm a big fan of, and I know Temple Grandin has brought up a number of times. The autistic mind tends to be a specialist mind, and that's, well, actually, that's the nutshell right there. However, um, because we have brains that are based on the theories of neuroplasticity, what we direct our attention to and what we put our efforts into, what we practice and repeat, that is how our brains grow and develop. So someone who has hyper specialties in one subject, one field, one learning style, these sorts of things, they have two choices. Either they can compensate for their other weak parts, or they can work on their other weak parts, or they can choose to specialize and capitalize on their strength. Now, there's common sayings in regards to the natural world where the specialist doesn't survive and generalists or those that are adaptable survive. Those who change survive, or those who adapt survive. Um, and the matter of that, you start looking at, is my particular niche specialty something that I can use to get through life or get really progress in life, or is it something that you need to compensate for, that you would limit yourself by being a specialist, and you need to improve your social skills, improve your dinner manners, improve your intonation, eye contact, these sorts of things. And that's a choice we all get to make. Some of us are fortunate that we live in a lifestyle where we can be specialists and we can just focus on our obsessions. Some of us luck out that we've got people in our lives that have really pushed us hard to grow to be a more complete or broad person. Yeah, there's almost never a right answer, but there's plenty of answers. And it comes down to the individual as to what you want in life, and you need to make that decision because in the end, we probably only live once. And with that, I'm going to call that a video. Cheers.